going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HnH Podcast. I am your co-host, Hamza Rana, joined by my older brother, Huzaifa Z. Rana. This is Super Bowl week, soon to be at Super Bowl weekend. It's crazy to say that the NFL season is coming towards an end, but we should just move on from here. Huzaifa, again, man, it's crazy. But anyways, how are you?
I'm doing well, Hamza. Thank you for that introduction. It is an exciting week, Hamza, as you mentioned, Super Bowl week coming up. Super Bowl weekend, like you said, this Sunday, Super Bowl 60, the New England Patriots against the Seattle Seahawks. This entire episode will be a Super Bowl preview episode, our MVPs, our score predictions, some stats, some underlying numbers, and kind of our overall vibe of the Super Bowl and what we think and what we expect to happen. So that's going to be a little bit later on in the episode. But Hamza, before we move on, did you actually end up watching the Pro Bowl on a couple of days ago?
I did not watch it live. I did watch the highlights though.
Okay, what were your thoughts on the highlights and the overall Pro Bowl? Do you agree that it's flag football, or do you think it should go back to it being tackle?
It should go back to being tackle for sure. I just think. I'll talk about the game first. Shout out to our Cowboys, man. We had some players balling.
Yeah,
Dak was playing great.
The Pro Bowls are Super Bowl, unfortunately.
Yeah, George Pickens won offensive player of the game. CeeDee Lamb had a touchdown. Jake Ferguson had like 2 touchdowns. I think Turpin had one too, or he had a couple great catches. But yeah, it's that was pretty cool to see. But it should definitely go back to a football game, like an actual football game, and they should do it how back in the day when it was like Team Michael Irvin versus Team Deion Sanders, or Team Michael Irvin versus Team Jerry Rice. Maybe do like Team Peyton Manning versus Team Eli Manning, like they done in the Pro Bowl, but have them actually draft a team and pick whatever players they want that are obviously selected in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I might be in the minority in this kind of debate here, but I don't mind the flag football game. I think with tackle, these guys never went full speed. They never hit each other. And honestly, I would be pretty pissed if you're a general manager or you're a coach and you see your star players getting absolutely destroyed in a Pro Bowl game, and ACLs, MCLs, all these injuries could happen. So I agree that it's not tackle. And I kind of like the flag. I think it's kind of cool. Get these guys in space. Get these playmakers in space. I think it's entertaining for the common football fan. And we saw it was great highlights on the weekend. And Dak was throwing some great balls. What he usually does. Jalen Hurts throws interceptions. What he usually does. It was just a great, I think, a combination of athleticism, but also kind of fun. I would change 2 things. Number one is I would figure out a way to get the offensive line involved, or not even have them on the sideline at all, because it's cool to get recognized as a Pro Bowler, but then they don't even get to do anything other than like the sledge or the what's it called, tug of war. I just thought kind of weird that like Tyler Smith and all these guys were just sitting on the sideline. So do something a little bit more, or kind of take away the O-line as a whole on the sideline type of thing. And number 2 is I would do a draft, like you said. I think that would be pretty cool, like a Peyton Manning versus Eli Manning draft, rather than it be AFC and NFC. You can still have it where they're representing their conference. Like the AFC has sent these many Pro Bowlers and the NFC has sent these many, and you still have NFC quarterbacks and AFC quarterbacks, but then you just do a draft. Because it's pretty cool. You can see guys playing with each other who usually don't play. Like imagine Dak throwing the ball to, I don't know, who's an AFC receiver. Jamar Chase. Like, that would be pretty cool. So that would be pretty cool, like how people guard each other. If like Derek Stinley and Nico Collins are drafted on opposite teams, that'd be pretty cool to see them go 1-on-1. So I think you can do something like that. But yeah, you're right, man. The Cowboys really took over that Pro Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just it's crazy. We're just at the end again, and just another season of like we'll bounce back next year, or we'll figure something out. And it sucks that we're just not in the Super Bowl this weekend, but you know what I'm saying?
One day, bro. One day we will experience this kind of happiness.
It is what it is.
And it's going to be a great day. And, the day that does happen, we will be recording this podcast in the city of the Super Bowl. Let's make that happen. I think that'd be pretty cool. But Hamza, overall... Okay, before we continue, actually, while we're on the Pro Bowl conversation, which major sport do you think does the All-Star game the best?
It used to be the NBA.
When was the NBA good?
like 20, like 20, like 2010s, and up until like 2020, like 2022, 2023. I think NBA was definitely like the best for sure,
Okay.
for sure. When the East and West was good, and then when they brought in the draft concept, when it was like Team LeBron and Team Giannis, like that was
That's
really
pretty
fun.
cool, yeah.
It was also like competitive games too. It wasn't just like whatever.
Yeah, for me, although I don't watch the sport, I think from an entertainment perspective, I think baseball, those are pretty good because you can't really fake or not try in a baseball game, I would think. Or maybe the pitchers are not throwing with their all out, 95 mile per hour fastballs, but they're still like entertaining your high scoring games. You can see the outfield and infield make plays on the ball. So I would say baseball's up there. NHL had a good run. I think the last 2 years now that the Olympics are starting, which by the way, which we can get into if you have time at the later. Actually, no, this is a Super Bowl episode. We'll stick with Super Bowl, but we will talk about the Olympics and a bunch of other sports because if you think about it, the NFL season, as Hamza mentioned, is coming to an end this weekend, and we have some more content to fill. So there will be more mock draft episodes. I know that everyone loves those episodes, and we really appreciate that support. So we will have another mock draft episode soon. I kind of just went on a little tangent there, but just trying to think about other stuff that we can talk about with the Olympics. NHL and NBA big trade yesterday for our Warriors, but enough about that, Hamza. Let's get into the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 60, the New England Patriots up against the Seattle Seahawks. Let me start off by asking you this, Hamza. What team out of the two are you most surprised that they're in the Super Bowl? Is it New England you're surprised, or are you more surprised that Seattle, given their roster, made the Super Bowl here?
It's both. I don't think a single fan outside of New England and Seattle, like the diehard ones, thought that they'd even be in the Super Bowl to start the season. I think the season overall has just been really weird. Even like some of the division winners of the season just like kind of threw everything off. Like such a weird season. Like the Colts were one of the best teams in the league for a couple weeks, and then they just fell apart. But I think it's definitely, yeah, I was not expecting any of these teams, but if I have to pick one, then maybe maybe Seattle. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I think both teams being in it was kind of crazy to begin with, and I don't think anyone thought that would be the Super Bowl that we would have right now.
Yeah, I think for me, I think if you remember the beginning of the season in our summer episodes, I mentioned that the Seattle Seahawks would be a sleeper team that people should keep an eye on. Now, I did not know they would be in the Super Bowl. That was pretty surprising to me. But I think if you were to compare both of them, I think New England for me is more surprising. You have Mike Vrabel, first time New England Patriot head coach, like in his first season. Drake May in just his second year. They brought in Stephon Diggs. We weren't sure how that was gonna work, and you can just see the identity on the defense starting to turn around with Mike Vrabel. So I did not anticipate them being in the Super Bowl at all. Now people are gonna argue about their schedule, which I do think has some merit to it. Their schedule definitely has been in their favor. But if I was to compare both teams, I would definitely say I'm more surprised New England is in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Also, I don't think anyone thought Drake May would also have the season that he was having, and Sam Darnold actually turning up in the playoffs. Everyone thought, including myself, that I thought Darnold would, crumble in these playoff games because what we saw last year with the Vikings. But that was not the case at all. Sam Darnold has been one of the best quarterback performers in the playoffs this year. Showed up every game. Jack Smith, Najigba, he's been balling out, continuing what he left off in the regular season, and I think it's going to be a closer game than what people think. I think the heavy favorite right now is Seattle, but I think it's going to be one of the better Super Bowl games in terms of just games. Because last year was just a complete blowout from Philly to KC, and the year before that was a really entertaining game between KC and San Fran. So, yeah.
No, I agree, and I'm just gonna quickly talk about their path to the Super Bowl for both teams. As New England representing the AFC here in the Super Bowl matchup, they had a record of 14-3, and their path to the Super Bowl via the playoffs was a wild card win over the Los Angeles Chargers that defensive game that was on display from New England, sacking Justin Herbert, I think 5-6 times that game. There was nothing that Justin Herbert could do in that game, so they picked up that win. Then they went on to the divisional round and played C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans, where, again, the New England Patriots defense really was the story of that game. I think it was 8 turnovers or something at halftime that the New England Patriots had forced. Or was that true? Eight at halftime, or was it 8 overall and like 4 at halftime?
I think it was 8 overall. I think it was 8 overall in the game. But I think it was also.
I think it was 4 interceptions in the first half.
Yeah,
by CJ. Yeah, so that was just again another crazy defensive game, and New England ended up winning that game 28-16. And then just a couple weeks ago, that an AFC conference game against the Denver Broncos, albeit without Bo Nix, it was Jarrett Stidham who got the start in that game, and the New England Patriots took away that game. 10-7, a low-scoring game, but yet again. You can say it's because of Jarrett Stidham. You can say it's because of their lack of offensive efficiency from the Denver Broncos perspective. But you look at New England, their defense yet again only allowed 7 points in a hostile environment. I remember, the images of that game. First half was nice and clear, and then the third quarter, it was like a blizzard type of environment. So. And Drake May had that clutch rolled out as well. So that was the New England Patriots path to the Super Bowl. I have here Seattle Seahawks. They ended up in the division. They were the number 1 seed coming out of the NFC. Give me a second. I'm just pulling it up here right now. Number 1 seed in the NFC. And in the divisional round, they beat the San Francisco 49ers, a division rival, 41-6. Just an absolutely insane performance from Sam Darnold and that defense from Seattle. Really showing what they can do in the playoffs. And so you have something to say there about the divisional game?
No, I'm keep going, man.
Okay, and then the conference game, another divisional rival against the Los Angeles Rams. They ended up winning that game 31-27. So we have truly, I think, out of the playoffs, 2 of the better teams. And I forgot to mention Seattle also had a record of 14-3 coming out of the NFC. So honestly, 2 evenly matched teams. I think it's going to be an exciting game. And before we get into our predictions later in the game, I would say, Hamza, I'll ask you this question. Who is a sleeper player you're looking to keep an eye on? And we'll start in New England first, and then a sleeper player to kind of keep an eye on in Seattle. It doesn't have to be, it could be a star player. It could be someone that you just think that is going to kind of take away that game. And we'll take away quarterbacks, so we won't mention Sam Darnold or Drake May in this example.
Sorry, the stats are just not loading real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kayshon Boutte, the wide receiver for the Patriots. This is a guy has been a sleeper kind of all year. Former LSU wide receiver. In the playoffs, he had that one really good game against Houston. He had 3 receptions for 75 yards and a touchdown. Just made a huge play just to, kind of put the dagger into Houston over Derek Stingley as well. But in the most recent game against Denver, only had 6 yards that entire game. But I think he's one deep ball, he's one deep ball away from kind of not necessarily changing the game, but making a big impact on that game. I think, he's one of those guys where, you just put the ball up. I'm not saying he'll get it down, but he's fast enough to outrun the DB and just, make that play. I think he's definitely a sleeper to have one of those games. And if he does, I think, there's going to be a very heavy favorite game towards the New England Patriots.
I like that pick. Hamza Kayshon how you pronounce that? Boutte. That's a great pick for you, Hamza. For me, also sticking with the New England Patriots, and we'll move on to Seattle. I think a player that I was really high on in the beginning of the season. He was one of my fantasy football sleeper picks. I may have reached for him in 1 or 2 draft leagues. I was expecting him to really be the number 1 running back for New England, and then you can see Ramondre Stevenson kind of solidify his role in that backfield. But I think when he gets his opportunity, Travion Henderson, running back number 32, I think he can be someone that could really be a sleeper player for New England in this game. He can be one of those guys that can get the first touchdown in this game. I know many years in a row now there's been kind of not necessarily an unknown player, but someone people weren't expecting to get the first touchdown in the Super Bowl. So maybe I think that can be a guy like Travion Henderson this year. Overall, he had 911 yards rushing on 180 carries. He had 9 touchdowns and he averaged 5 yards a carry.
And the fact that he only had 180 carries and 900 and what?
Oh
11?
yeah, he had those 2 long. Remember those 2 like 80 plus yard runs. So
Yeah, so
he can be that kind of game breaking game changing type of back for New England. And I think one thing that doesn't people are not talking about enough is, he's a former Ohio State Buckeye, and they won the national championship game last year. So he knows, although it's different NFL college, all in all, he knows what it takes to win these big time championship games. And in the clutch, you have to maybe rely on guys like that, albeit just a rookie. And I think this guy's a star in the making. And I think maybe the Super Bowl can be a coming out party for him on a national stage and the entire world watching him. So that's my New England Patriots sleeper. Hamza, I'll kick it back to you now. Who is your Seattle Seahawks sleeper player of the game?
For me, I'm gonna go with again someone that wasn't initially. I wouldn't even call him a sleeper, but someone that wasn't an initial Seattle Seahawk to start the year with them. The former New Orleans Saints wide receiver Rashid Shaheed. This is the guy who had an unbelievable kickoff return to start the game against San Francisco. And I'm not saying this guy's going to put up numbers because, as a receiver, he hasn't really been putting up numbers in these playoff games. Yeah, he's had a total of just 51 yards in the playoffs. But to start the game 2 weeks ago against the Rams, he caught a deep ball and the crowd was going crazy. He had the kickoff return against San Francisco, which again that caused a mini earthquake in Seattle. I think Rashid Shaheed, if he has that one type of play, that one long kickoff return, or he can be that deep threat. He can just take it down the field, and he's fast enough to run past the defender, and it's going to be hard to keep up with this guy. Or you put him on a jet sweep, do reverse, and just toss it back to him. I think Rashid Shaheed is going to be a guy who I think he's going to have that one big moment, and it could help Seattle. I'm not going to say he's going to be the reason why they win, but I think Rashid Shaheed is a sleeper to definitely keep an eye out.
That's a great. Honestly, you took my player. That's a great pick. I think Rashid Shaheed, especially as you mentioned in the special teams game, kick return, punt return, he can be that kind of guy. Just a field position type of game. I'm getting the sense it's going to happen here on Sunday. So for me, I'm going to pivot over to my second sleeper for the Seattle Seahawks. We know him very well. He was with us for many years in Dallas, and we never really thought he would be. We knew he was a good player, but I didn't think he would be having the year he's having in Seattle. And you can hear him talking that he'd never win a Super Bowl in Dallas. If you didn't already know, I'm going with DeMarcus Lawrence.
And I dapped him up.
We'll talk about that story right after this. But yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence is my sleeper player for Seattle. Not necessarily a sleeper because he's been really well known the last couple of weeks, especially in the playoffs. But I'm talking about a guy here, Hamza. I can just see it right now. Third and long, New England down by a touchdown, and DeMarcus Lawrence comes off the edge and gets a insanely clutch sack, forcing a punt. And it's such a Cowboys. It's gonna happen, and everyone's gonna be pissed in Cowboy Nation. And I don't know. I think Cowboy Nation is actually kind of split here. I don't know if we're cheering for him or cheering against him. Maybe you want him to win and tell Jerry like what's up and all that stuff. But DeMarcus Lawrence, really quickly, he had 6 sacks this year, which honestly is pretty low for his standard. He had 3 forced fumbles, and this guy had. I'm just gonna quickly check here.
He had 4 touchdowns, I think.
I'm trying to see here.
I'm pretty sure it was 4 because he had 2 touchdowns in one game.
Okay, so they're not actually showing here on ESPN. They're not saying how many touchdowns, but if you're saying he had touchdowns,
I'm very positive.
Well, I know he got one for sure, and I apologize for not getting that. But whatever, I can't find that right now. Maybe you can find that, Hamza, while I'm still talking about him. But DeMarcus Lawrence is definitely good. Oh, hold up. Give me 1 second. Sorry for...
He's had 2. He's had 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns. Okay, yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's my sleeper player for Seattle. I think a guy, like I mentioned before, he's going to make a big-time play for Seattle, forcing a sack, maybe even forcing a fumble. And you never know. He could be in the end zone for a touchdown. That would be something else. But before we get into our picks and kind of our overall thoughts on the game and then our score predictions here, I have some interesting stats for everyone here. I was just curious before the offensive efficiency for both of these teams because I think a lot of people have been talking about their defense, right? And rightfully so. I think New England's the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL, followed by Seattle, who's at 7, I believe. So 2 top 10 defenses playing the Super Bowl. Take that to note, Dallas Cowboys. Let's start to get some defensive guys here. But I have an interesting kind of chart here, and I wanted to compare how similar these guys were offensively. So points per game, each of them. So New England's points per game average was 27 to Seattle's 29. So just a 2-point difference there. Their yards per game, New England had 364 yards on average per game, and Seattle had 350. So another very similar efficiency there. We'll skip some of this stuff here. Scoring rate, 42% for New England. 46% for Seattle. Again, very similar. Points per drive, which I think is an interesting stat. 2.6 for New England and 2.7 for Seattle. Turnover rate, 9.9 for New England, 12.9 for Seattle. And I think the biggest thing is right here, what I'm going to mention. Actually, 2 more things. Number 1 is red zone rate, 55.1 for New England and 57.1 for Seattle. And then the last one, I think is the biggest one here, is third down rate. I think the third down rate is going to be something that is going to make or break both these teams here in the Super Bowl. We have 40.7 for New England and 40.6 for Seattle. So I think overall, we can start to see that their offensive efficiency is very similar, Hamza. And I think a lot of people are expecting defenses to kind of steal the show here. But, hey, I mean, if these offenses can put on a show, I think it's going to be a lot closer of a game.
You want to who I also think is going to have a huge game? Again, someone who was really high on in the draft last year and someone that I wanted Dallas to get if we had the opportunity to pick him in the second round, but he wasn't. Nick Manwari.
Yes. He has an ankle injury though. You see that yesterday.
I did, but he wasn't a full participant today.
Okay.
Or he isn't going to be full participant, but I think he should be fine from what I saw. He might be limited right before the game, but he'll be fine. But if he is healthy, I think Nick Manwari is going to have a great game. This guy is he can literally do everything as a safety. Like, this guy's a good zone coverage guy, really good tackler, good in nickel as well. He's good at covering tight ends and other slot receivers. Nick Manwari is also a guy that you should keep an eye out for in this game for sure. Also, are we going to talk about how I met DeMarcus Lawrence?
Yeah, so why don't you talk about your DeMarcus Lawrence story here while I preview the next segment here.
So we're in Dallas, Texas, Frisco, Texas in December of 2023. And we're right outside the hotel where the Cowboys practice facility is. We just came out from, huh?
I was going to say like the Star facility in Dallas.
I don't know, but some people are not Cowboys fans, so I'm going to say the practice facility. We're outside the hotel, and we just came back from a good lunch. And I was the first one to get out the truck, and I'm getting something from... first one to get out the car. Then I went to get something out of the trunk. And I look to my right, I see a big dude holding a box, and I'm like, oh my god, that's DeMarcus Lawrence. I'm like, yo, DeMarcus Lawrence, and I'm like, this, but then he did like this, so like I just like went to go give him a fist bump, and I'm like, good luck on the weekend, we're here to support and whatnot, and he's like, thank you, whatnot, and then he was I think he also drove a truck, or something like that, and then you guys came out after while he already just walked into his thing. I'm like, yo, I just met DeMarcus Lawrence. You're like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. And then he drives off. But yeah, that's I had a 2-second interaction with
their boys.
DeMarcus Lawrence.
They're boys now.
No, we're not boys
people who are curious and maybe or not. That was the Cowboys Detroit Lions game, week 16 or 17 in 2020. Sorry, I have to sneeze. I gotta sneeze.
17.
You take it over. You take it over. I have to sneeze.
It was week 17 where they had that really crazy call that the lineman wasn't eligible.
Sneeze not come. Yes, the crazy Detroit Dallas game.
That was also the same day, or it's not same day, but same week or something. We met for guys who know who they are. Ninja, a very popular streamer, Ninja, and Tim the Tapman.
Shout out them. Hopefully they're watching this episode. Okay, Hamza, here before we get into our predictions and our MVPs, I know all of our people are curious to see who we got. I know many people were asking me who I think is going to win. But just tell the tape of history for these two teams. So Seattle Seahawks' last playoff appearance was in 2022 when they played sorry for the notification, when they played the San Francisco 49ers in the wild card. They ended up losing that game. Geno Smith was the starting quarterback then. Their last Super Bowl was in 2014 when they beat the Denver Broncos 43-8. That crazy Super Bowl game. Percy Harvin touchdown coming out of half, that kick return touchdown. That's a great, honestly, childhood memory for me watching that game because I was a big Russell Wilson fan growing up, and so that was pretty cool watching that. And for New England, their last playoff appearance was in 2021 when they lost in the wild card to the Buffalo Bills, and their last Super Bowl win was in 2018. That low-scoring game against the Los Angeles Rams. So it's kind of crazy. These guys are back, and obviously we remember that crazy Super Bowl between Seattle and New England when Russell Wilson threw that interception at the 1 yard line to Malcolm Butler.
During what's that day called where everyone's asking, or the media day? During the Super Bowl media day, everyone's asking Seattle and New England Patriots players are like, are you expecting the Seahawks to run the ball on the 1 yard line this time?
I know that was a crazy game to watch. I remember Chris Matthews. I got ball knowledge. I think his name is Chris Matthews, wide receiver for Seattle that game. Former CFL wide receiver for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He had an insane catch down the field that led to that field goal or that touchdown that drive, and then that was a drive. And then vice versa. Yeah, he caught the ball deep into the pylon left side of the end zone, and then
didn't Golden Tate also have a crazy catch that game?
Yeah, Curse.
Jermaine Curse.
Jermaine Curse. Yeah, that was insane. So I think I'm actually kind of excited because I think that history, the two teams, their playoff history, all that stuff, I think it's going to play into a very emotional, intense game. And so, with that being said, Hamza, do you want to do our score predictions right now, or do you have something else to say or add?
No, you can. We should just get right into it.
All right, I'll let you go first. So let's hear score prediction. Who you got? Who's gonna win? Score prediction, and then at the end we'll do our MVPs after that. So let's hear why Hamza thinks who's gonna win.
I'm gonna go with a score prediction of 24-17 New England Patriots.
Wow, New England Patriots.
I think we remember the last time I said there's going to be an upset for the New England Patriots. And I am going to go with the New England Patriots again this time. And my reasoning is pure, I'm going to take out the bias aside of my disliking of DeMarcus Lawrence at this time.
He's your boy, man. You met him. What are you talking about?
No, he's not my boy anymore. He disrespected in Dallas. I truly do believe that the Patriots are going to turn up. There's been so much, just the way that this team, builds together, the way that this team strives together. I think people can say what they want about Stephon Diggs, what he does off the field, but on the field, this guy is a great leader. This guy really gets his team going. This team plays for each other. This is it's a really connected team. Drake May, he's had a significant impact on New England and just the city of Boston in general. But I truly do believe that the Patriots are going to come up top, and I think the defense is going to be a lot better. I don't think the Seahawks have faced against a defense like New England yet so far. I think and also they have a good pass rushing crew. So I think once they finally get towards Darnold, it might cause a little bit of issues. But again, if his O-line can hold for a bit, I think the Seahawks will just go off. But I think that I really do trust the defense for New England. I think Christian Gonzalez is going to be motioning on Jackson Smith and Njigba all game. So that's going to be another great one-on-one matchup to keep an eye out for the entire game. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely going to go with the Patriots here. I think it just the upset kind of just makes sense.
Okay, so Hamza Rana going New England Patriots 24-17. And those are very interesting points, Hamza. I honestly, yeah, well done there. So for me, I think it's going to be a lot closer than some people think. I think many people are saying that Seattle's going to run away with this game. New England hasn't played much competition. Drake May hasn't faced a defense like Seattle, although I think Denver's defense was really good and Houston's defense is one of the best in the league. So, there's a bunch of this stuff being said. I think Nick Manwari's injury, who we don't know his condition for Sunday. Obviously, he's going to play, but could that play something into this? Seattle's, the history between these two teams, as I outlined earlier. New England winning that crazy game against Seattle, and also just New England's success in the Super Bowl. Drake May in his second year winning a Super Bowl would be great for the franchise, great for kind of New England sports, and kind of get that city back where they feel like they always have been, and all these things. Excuse me here. New England wearing the all-white jerseys, which they have not lost in yet. Mike Vrabel changing the culture and the identity. All that being said, I'm going to go Seattle Seahawks. That is my prediction. Seattle Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl with the score of 27-23. And I think it's going to come down to a last-second Drake May drive that's going to need a touchdown. And Seattle's defense is going to force a turnover and get a game-sealing sack or a pick and call it a game there. But it's going to come down to the last drive, and I think Seattle takes it 27-23.
The thing is, everyone thinks that Seattle is going to kick their, you know what? Everyone that I've seen, everyone I've heard talk about this game is like, oh yeah, Seattle's going to destroy them. Seattle's going to do this, and Seattle's going to do that. I don't think that's the case at all. I think people,
I don't
for some reason, they're underrating New England, and I understand that their schedule might have been fraudulent. I think, but what they did in the playoffs against the best defense in football, the Texans. I understand Houston, CJ Stroud did not have a good game, but that also goes to show how good the New England Patriots defense is. They went against another really good defense in the snow in Denver, at Denver. Came up with a win. I know offense didn't do that good, but their defense showed up, and that's all you need. If they can defensively shut down that Seattle offense with Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kenneth Walker, and Sam Darnold, it is going to be a lopsided way for New England if they can shut down that offense. If they can't, then obviously it's going to be more favored towards the Seahawks. But I do think that the New England Patriots defense are going to be a huge factor in this game.
I think one guy we haven't talked about enough. We talked about Drake May a lot, but I think Sam Darnold deserves his flowers as well. He's had a phenomenal year. We saw what happened last year with Minnesota. You would think that they would keep him. They ended up letting him walk, going to Seattle. In his first year with Seattle, not only being the number one team in the NFC, not only being one of the best offenses in the NFL, not only, putting Jackson Smith and Jigba on the map as one of, if not the best receiver right now in the NFL. Not only all those things, he got them to the Super Bowl. And that can't be said for other quarterbacks in Seattle since Russell Wilson. That can't be said for a first-time quarterback in a new environment often. You don't really hear a first-time free agent quarterback going to a new team and taking him to the Super Bowl in their first year. He deserves his flowers. I understand Seattle's defense is great, but what a phenomenal story that will be if Sam Darnold can go in there and have a great game. Obviously, you see his interviews. He's such a humble guy. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for his story to show that adversity really does matter and it's someone's journey. And you talk about Carolina, the New York Jets, back up in San Francisco when they actually did go to the Super Bowl. So he's actually already been in a Super Bowl as a backup. He wants to win one, you know that for a fact because obviously Kansas City won that game, and then obviously Minnesota. You would think he would stay, having that year that he had last year, and now he is here now in a Super Bowl this coming Sunday. So I think Sam Darnold deserves his flowers, and he's someone that I think if the Seattle Seahawks win this game, I think he's the MVP of the game, 100%.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy. I think if Seattle, we'll go into this now. We'll do
MVPs.
the Super Bowl MVPs for each team if when they win. So
and then I'm gonna ask you what color the Gatorade you think it's going to be.
Yeah, do you actually we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, well you've kind of already answered, but I'll just ask you again. If the Seattle Seahawks win the Super Bowl, who is your Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah, you got to go Sam Darnold. Not just because he's a quarterback, but I think he's going to have a great game against that New England defense. His third down efficiency is one of the tops in the NFL. And look at the weapons, right? We've talked about Jackson Smith and Jigba, and rightfully so, but Cooper Kupp not long ago was one of the best receivers in the NFL. His route running ability, especially in the red zone, I think is pretty outstanding. And Kenneth Walker really had a great game last week. So the weapons around him, I think it's going to benefit Sam Darnold a lot. So my MVP for Seattle is Sam Darnold. And yeah, I can't even think of another guy who I would go with other than him. And I'll just go New England as well. My New England MVP, if New England is to win, it has to be, I know it sounds kind of boring, but it has to be Drake May. I think he has shown that he's an MVP candidate this year, and why not give it to him? So I went easy. I went both quarterbacks, so forgive me for that. But maybe a guy like Travion Henderson, as I mentioned earlier, he could have a breakout game.
Yeah, people should put money on that.
That would be crazy.
Probably be Travion Henderson. But for me, for Seattle, if they win, I'm really feeling the LA Rams versus Cincinnati Bengals Super Bowl type vibe. I'm going to go with Jackson Smith Njigba. I think, especially the way he played his last game against the Rams, he had 12 targets, 10 receptions, 153 yards and a touchdown. The way that Clint Kubiak has been using him recently, you see the play where he lined him up at running back and he kind of ran I don't even know what you would call that route. It was like a wheel corner and whatnot. Or something like that. I think they're going to be very crafty this week, especially against this New England Patriots defense. But also, one thing I'm also just thinking about what I just said. If they are motioning Gonzalez to where Njigba is, maybe it might be a little bit more difficult. But if they can somehow, just move him in motion and kind of get him away from that, then I think Njigba could have a good game. I think also another underrated player to win that for Seattle. I don't know why I'm picking two, but Kenneth Walker is someone you should also just keep an eye out for. And then for New England, I think it's going to be Drake May. I was going to say Diggs, but I don't think Diggs is going to have that type of game. I'm going to go Drake May for New England.
All right, so that'll do it. Basically, Hamza has the New England Patriots winning 24-17, and I have the Seattle Seahawks winning 27.
No, I'm actually going to change my prediction. I'm going to go 24-20.
Okay, so Hamza's keeping with my 4-game difference there. So Hamza, 24-20, New England Patriots, and I am picking Seattle to win 27-23. Hamza, before we close this episode, are you excited for Bad Bunny halftime show?
I think his music's sick though. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I haven't listened. I've listened to a little bit of it. Only because of WWE purposes when he watched. When he came out of WWE.
I can't say I've listened to any Bad Bunny songs, but my biggest Bad Bunny memory is him walking out in, I think it was Royal Rumble. I forget what it was.
It was in Puerto Rico.
And that crowd
went crazy.
That pop from the crowd, I don't want to say experienced. I wasn't there, but I've never witnessed anything like that before.
Or something loud from a TV, like in WWE sense. Do you want to talk about WWE super quickly?
No, we'll save it. We'll save it for next week. Next week we have a bunch of stuff. Okay, last thing comes up, Gatorade Color. What's your Gatorade Color prediction?
So right now the least obviously clear that they're gonna go. Like that's obviously like the lowest probability. But right now the lowest probability of the Gatorade color is purple. But for some reason, I really do think it's gonna be purple. So I'm gonna go purple as the Gatorade color. It just meant that I can just so imagine a purple Gatorade just being thrown, being like tossed over. For some reason I just think it's gonna be purple.
Do you know what it was last year?
It was orange or yellow-ish.
I'm gonna check this right now.
Orange.
What color was the Gatorade? Sorry, 1 second here, guys. Okay, 2024. Hold up, is these the odds or is this the Super Bowl history? Okay, this is from a website called thelines.com. So last year it was yellow.
Yeah.
The year before was purple.
Wait, the year before was purple?
2024 was purple
I don't think so.
at plus 275 odds. The purple again in 2023, so back-to-back purples for the Chiefs. The Rams had blue, the Bucks had blue, and then orange. Last orange witness was 2020 with the Chiefs.
What about
as
red?
well.
When the last time was red?
So you know what? And you know what? The history shows that I think I'm going to be right here with my prediction. I'm going to go with blue. There hasn't been a blue Gatorade since 2022. And
Oh, sorry. I'm just gonna check. I just want to check the odds again for that.
New England Patriots had blue Gatorade again in 2019. So I'm going blue. Seattle Seahawks, when they last won, it was orange. So I think orange and blue are the highest odds based off history, considering purple went 2 years with Kansas City. So yeah, my prediction.
Yeah. Okay. So right now, the most probable, like the chance of the Gatorade color is orange.
Okay, because I think
Right now it's orange. The least is red and / pink.
I'm going blue. Final answer, I'm going
It might be
blue.
red, dude.
I'm going blue.
It might be red.
All right. Before Hamza closes off this episode, I just want to thank everyone from my half for everyone's support. Obviously, we appreciate everyone continuing to watch our shows and our episodes and our stuff on Instagram and Spotify. We're at 90 subscribers, just 10 away from 100, so that would be much appreciated if we can get to that mark. For future episodes, expect more mock drafts, expect some TikToks, expect some world news as well. Our next recording day will be next week sometime, and the Olympics will be kind of on the up and coming, so we can do a little Winter Olympics preview. And yeah, overall, just super appreciative of everyone's support, and enjoy the Super Bowl on Sunday. Hamza, I'll let you close it off here.
Again, we appreciate all the support. We keep going every week. Please, hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Leave a like on the video, comment, and please share it to whoever you would like. Again, we appreciate all the support, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.